It's 7:27 p.m., January 17, 1950. Snow falls quietly over Boston. Inside America's most secure building, 11 men are about to pull off the impossible. In just 17 minutes, they'll steal $2.7 million, the equivalent of $32 million today. They'll do it without firing a single shot, without leaving a trace, and without anyone suspecting them for 6 years. This isn't fiction. This is the true story of the robbery that humiliated the FBI, turned small-time crooks into criminal legends, and proved that even the strongest vault in America had one fatal weakness: human nature. What you're about to hear will change how you think about the idea of a perfect crime, because this one almost was. Almost. But to understand how they pulled it off, we need to rewind 2 years earlier. The year is 1948. Post-war America is booming, and in Boston's financial district stands the ultimate symbol of security, 165 Prince Street, the Brinks Incorporated building. A 5-story fortress of steel and concrete, so impenetrable that locals have a saying, safer than Brinks. But while the city sees an untouchable stronghold, one man sees something very different, a puzzle waiting to be solved. The year is 1948. America is riding high on post-war prosperity. Money flows through Boston's financial district like never before, and at the center of it all stands a building that represents absolute security. 165 Prince Street, the Brinks Incorporated building. 5 stories of reinforced concrete and steel that rise like a monument to financial protection. This isn't just another office building. This is a fortress designed to be impenetrable. The building houses multiple alarm systems, each one state-of-the-art for 1948. Motion detectors, pressure-sensitive floors, electromagnetic locks. Armed guards patrol in shifts around the clock, never leaving the building unprotected. The vault doors are massive steel constructions weighing thousands of pounds, requiring special keys and combination codes to open. Brinks Incorporated handles the financial blood of New England. Payrolls for major corporations, bank deposits, government funds. Millions of dollars pass through this building every single day. The company's reputation is built on one simple promise: your money is absolutely safe with us. Local police consider the building so secure they use it as a benchmark. Safer than Brinks becomes a common expression. Insurance companies offer premium rates because they believe the risk of successful robbery is essentially zero. But in the shadows of Boston's North End, someone is watching. Someone who sees not a fortress, but a puzzle waiting to be solved. Anthony "Fats" Pino doesn't look like a criminal mastermind. At 41 years old, he's overweight, balding, and blends into any crowd on Boston streets. Born in Sicily in 1907, he came to America as a child and grew up in the rough neighborhoods of Boston's North End. His criminal record reads like a textbook of petty crime, burglary, theft, illegal gambling, running numbers for local bookies. Nothing spectacular, nothing that would make newspapers. To his neighbors, Pino is just another small-time crook trying to make ends meet. But appearances deceive. Inside Pino's unremarkable exterior lives a mind capable of extraordinary things. He possesses an almost supernatural attention to detail, an ability to see patterns where others see only chaos, and most importantly, patience that borders on obsession. Every morning, Pino walks the same route to his favorite coffee shop. The path takes him directly past the Brinks building. Most people hurrying to work don't give the building a second glance. It's just part of the urban landscape. Pino sees something completely different. He notices which guards arrive at what times. He observes the rhythm of armored car deliveries. He memorizes the faces of employees, timing their breaks, cataloging their habits. What starts as casual observation evolves into something more systematic. Pino begins carrying a small notebook, recording details that would seem meaningless to anyone else. Guard with mustache takes smoke break 7:35 p.m. Supervisor talks to front desk every Tuesday 6:45 p.m. Armored car number 3 always parks in same spot. By summer 1948, Pino has filled dozens of pages with observations. But watching from outside isn't enough anymore. He needs to see what the fortress looks like from within. What Pino attempts next sounds like something from a Hollywood movie, except it's absolutely true. For months, he treats America's most secure building like his personal playground. Late at night, after the main shifts end, Pino discovers there are brief periods when entire floors of the Brinks building are completely empty. Security protocols from 1948 aren't as sophisticated as modern systems. There are gaps, moments of vulnerability. Using lockpicking skills developed over 20 years of burglary, Pino slips into the building through service entrances. But once inside, he doesn't behave like a typical criminal. He doesn't grab whatever valuables he can find and run. Instead, he explores methodically, treating each visit like a reconnaissance mission. Room by room, floor by floor, Pino maps the building's interior. He learns the layout by heart, memorizing every door, every corridor, every potential obstacle. He studies the alarm systems, identifying their strengths and weaknesses. He examines locks, testing their mechanisms, understanding their vulnerabilities. During one of these midnight explorations, Pino discovers what will become his obsession: the money room on the 5th floor. The sight that greets him defies imagination. Stacks of cash organized in neat piles, bags of coins ready for bank deliveries, payroll funds for Boston's major employers. On any given night, the room contains more money than most people will see in their entire lifetimes. But Pino isn't content with just seeing the money. His systematic mind immediately begins analyzing the challenge. When is the most money present? Who guards it? How do they access the room? What are the security procedures? Over subsequent visits, Pino develops detailed knowledge of the money room's operations. He learns that certain nights contain much larger amounts of cash, depending on delivery schedules and weekend banking requirements. He identifies the guards who work evening shifts, studying their personalities and procedures. Most importantly, Pino discovers a critical flaw in Brinks' security protocols. Through weeks of careful observation, Pino identifies something that Brinks management doesn't realize exists: a vulnerability in their evening shift procedures. Every night between 7 o'clock and 7:30 p.m., during the shift change, the money room security is compromised. The standard protocol requires 3 guards in the money room at all times. But during shift changes, personnel have to verify paperwork, sign in new guards, and conduct equipment checks. For approximately 12 minutes every evening, the money room has only 1 guard. And that single guard must occasionally leave his post to handle administrative duties related to the shift change. Pino times these intervals obsessively. He discovers that the pattern is consistent. The vulnerability occurs every single night at predictable times for predictable durations. But identifying the weakness is only the beginning. The money room is still protected by sophisticated locks, alarm systems, and the general security of the building itself. Even with perfect timing, how could anyone actually steal the money and escape? The answer comes during one of Pino's most daring infiltrations. While examining the locks on the money room door, he makes a discovery that changes everything. The locks are indeed high quality and expensive from the outside, but the door's inner mechanism uses standard commercial locks that any experienced burglar could handle. This gives Pino an idea that will form the foundation of his plan. If he could get inside the building during regular hours and work on the locks from the inside, he could modify them to be much easier to open during an actual robbery. But this level of operation would require help, specialists who could handle specific aspects of what was becoming an increasingly complex plan. Pino realizes he needs to build a crew. Building a criminal crew is like casting a movie. Every role requires exactly the right person with precisely the right skills. Pino knows that one wrong choice could doom the entire operation. His first recruit is Joseph Specs O'Keefe, a 42-year-old career criminal with one crucial qualification: he had worked for armored car companies. O'Keefe understands the psychology of security employees, company policies, and most importantly, how people react during robberies. O'Keefe provides Pino with invaluable intelligence. Brinks employees are specifically trained to comply during robberies. Company policy is explicit. Don't be heroes, give robbers whatever they want, and let insurance handle the losses. This means that if they could enter the money room without triggering alarms, employees would likely cooperate fully. Next comes Stanley Gushora, a master locksmith whose reputation precedes him throughout Boston's criminal underworld. If a lock exists, Gus can open it. But Gus brings more than technical skills. He brings patience and precision. While other criminals want quick scores, Gus understands that the best jobs require time and meticulous preparation. Using photographs and sketches from Pino's nighttime explorations, Gus studies the locks on the money room door. He determines exactly which tools will be needed and estimates how long each lock will take to open under pressure. James Faraday joins as the crew's muscle, but he's not typical criminal muscle. Faraday is intelligent muscle who understands that in sophisticated operations, intimidation is more valuable than violence. His job will be controlling employees during the robbery, keeping them calm and compliant. Vincent Costa becomes the crew's surveillance expert. While Pino studies the building, Costa maps the surrounding neighborhood. He identifies escape routes, times police response patterns, and charts traffic flows. Costa creates detailed maps of every street within a 5-mile radius of the Brinks building. The crew eventually grows to include 11 men total: Adolph Jazz Maffei, Henry Baker, Louis Diamante, Michael Geegan, Thomas Richardson, Joseph Banfield, and John Pino, Anthony's younger brother. But Pino's genius lies in how he manages the recruitment process. He doesn't reveal the true scope of the operation to anyone initially. Each recruit thinks they're being approached for a standard burglary worth maybe a few $1,000s. Pino understands human psychology. If potential crew members knew they were planning to steal millions from America's most secure building, some might get nervous, might talk to the wrong people, might attract unwanted attention. So he feeds information gradually, revealing the operation's true magnitude only when it's too late to back out. September 1949. Pino calls his first full crew meeting in a rented room above a tavern in Boston's North End. What happens in that room will determine whether this becomes just another failed robbery attempt or something that enters criminal legend. When Pino finally reveals their target, the Brinks building, the reaction is immediate and divided. Half the crew wants to walk away. The Brinks building isn't just well protected. It's legendary among Boston criminals as being impossible to rob. But then Pino demonstrates his genius for psychological manipulation. Instead of trying to convince them with arguments, he produces something that speaks louder than words: photographs. Interior photographs of the Brinks building. Pictures of the money room. Images that prove he has been inside the impossible target. The room falls silent. These are experienced criminals who understand exactly what those photographs represent. If Pino could infiltrate the building once, he could do it again. And if he could get in again, they could all become very rich. But skepticism remains. Sure, Pino might have gotten lucky once, but actually robbing the place? That's a completely different challenge. Pino addresses their concerns systematically. He explains the security vulnerability he's discovered. He outlines the employee compliance policies O'Keefe has confirmed. He shows them Gus's analysis of the lock systems. He presents Costa's escape route mappings. Slowly, the crew realizes they aren't listening to another criminal fantasy. This is a legitimate operational plan, backed by months of professional-level intelligence gathering. By the end of that meeting, every crew member has committed to the operation. But Pino makes one thing clear: what they're about to attempt will require months of additional preparation. This won't be a quick hit. It will be a campaign. What the crew does over the next 4 months redefines criminal preparation. This isn't just planning a robbery anymore. It's conducting a military-style operation with multiple phases and contingency planning. First, they need to practice. But you can't rehearse robbing the actual Brinks building. So they do something unprecedented in criminal history. They build their own Brinks building. In a warehouse in South Boston, using measurements and photographs from Pino's explorations, the crew constructs a full-scale replica of the Brinks money room. Every detail is recreated: door placement, desk positions, filing cabinets, even the approximate locations of safes and cash storage areas. For weeks, they practice the robbery repeatedly. Each crew member learns his specific role until actions become automatic responses. They practice in complete darkness, since they plan to cut electrical power during the actual heist. They practice with their eyes closed, preparing for any scenario that might affect their vision. O'Keefe rehearses employee control techniques, perfecting exactly what to say to minimize panic and ensure cooperation. Gusiora practices lock manipulation until he can open the money room doors blindfolded. Faherty develops crowd control methods that will keep everyone calm and compliant. The crew discovers their operational window, approximately 20 minutes to complete the entire job. Any longer risks running into the next shift change. Any shorter doesn't provide enough time to collect all available money. Their timeline breaks down to 3 minutes entering the building and reaching the money room, 2 minutes controlling employees, 12 minutes gathering money, 3 minutes exiting and beginning escape. Equipment acquisition becomes another phase of preparation. This crew won't use typical robbery tools. They're going professional. They obtain authentic-looking uniforms that help them blend into Boston's working population. They acquire a truck that could belong to any legitimate delivery company. Weapons are chosen carefully. Pistols without ammunition. Their plan relies entirely on intimidation, not violence. They prepare rope and tape for restraining employees, specialized bags for carrying money, and flashlights with red filters to preserve night vision during dark operations. The uniform choice proves brilliant. Chauffeur outfits, dark coats, caps, simple clothing that makes them invisible on city streets. Anyone seeing them will assume they're drivers waiting for employers. While the crew practices, Pino's surveillance reaches almost obsessive levels. He doesn't just know Brinks employees' work schedules, he learns their personal lives. Guard supervisor Thomas Murphy? Pino knows he's married with 2 children, lives on Salem Street, drives a 1946 Buick, and stops at the same diner for coffee every morning. Employee James Allen? Pino knows his wife's name, his children's school, and his weekend routines. This level of knowledge isn't just thorough, it's psychological warfare. Understanding these men as human beings helps Pino predict how they'll react during the robbery. But Pino's most valuable intelligence comes from an unexpected source: casual conversation at a local bar. One Brinks employee, unknowingly, provides information that makes the heist not just possible, but potentially much more profitable. During a friendly conversation about work, this employee mentions that Brinks has recently changed their cash storage procedures. Instead of transferring money out every day, they're now holding larger amounts overnight to reduce transportation costs. This means that on certain nights, the money room contains far more cash than usual. Pino realizes he needs to identify exactly when these high-value nights occur. In early January 1950, he intensifies his surveillance to unprecedented levels, watching the building every single day, tracking patterns of large cash deliveries. On January 15th, Pino observes something that makes his pulse race. 3 armored cars arrive within 1 hour, all making substantial deposits, all leaving their cargo in overnight storage. Quick mental calculations tell him that January 17th, just 2 days away, the money room will contain more cash than it has ever held. This is the opportunity they've been preparing for. After 2 years of planning, months of surveillance, and weeks of rehearsal, everything is ready. But first, one final preparation. 3 days before the heist, Pino makes his last unauthorized visit to the Brinks building. This time, he's not going alone, and he's not going just to observe. Accompanied by Gus, he enters the building for one crucial final preparation: sabotaging the money room locks. What Gus accomplishes is brilliant in its simplicity and invisibility. He doesn't break the locks. That would be noticed immediately during the next day's operations. Instead, he makes tiny modifications that will allow the crew to bypass the locks during the robbery while leaving them completely functional for normal use. Using specialized locksmith tools, Gus adjusts the pin tumblers in each lock, creating what professionals call a bypass configuration. To anyone using normal keys, the locks work perfectly, but with specific techniques, they can be opened without keys in seconds. While Gus works on the locks, Pino conducts final verification of the alarm system. He confirms the timing of the daily reset cycles and identifies the exact moment during shift changes when the system switches to maintenance mode, a 90-second window when doors can be opened from inside without triggering alarms. Most importantly, they verify employee schedules for January 17th. 5 men will be working the evening shift in the money room: Lloyd Barron, Thomas Lloyd, Herbert McAuliffe, James Allen, and Joseph Crowley. Pino has studied each of these men extensively. Barron is new, likely to follow orders without question. Lloyd is a veteran who understands company compliance policies. McAuliffe is older, probably won't resist. Allen and Crowley are unknowns, but both have families and are unlikely to risk their lives for company money. Before leaving, Pino and Gus conduct one final walkthrough of their planned route. From street entrance to money room, 127 steps. From money room to exit, 89 steps. Every step measured, every door tested, every potential obstacle identified. They finalize the escape route. After exiting the building, exactly 8 minutes to reach the getaway vehicle before the next shift change results in discovery of the robbery. The crew also prepares contingency plans for every possible complication. If guards don't cooperate, they have a plan. If alarms malfunction, they have a plan. If police arrive early, they have a plan. On January 16th, Pino calls the final crew meeting. In a private restaurant room, he reviews every detail one last time. Timing, positions, responsibilities, signals. Each crew member confirms understanding of his specific role. At meeting's end, Pino asks for final commitment. Are they ready to pull off the biggest robbery in American history? Every single crew member says yes. January 17th, 1950. Boston is blanketed in snow. Temperature, 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Perfect conditions for crime. Cold weather keeps people indoors, reduces street traffic, provides natural concealment. At 6:30 p.m., 11 men begin converging on Boston's North End. They don't travel together, that would attract attention. Instead, they arrive at the rendezvous point in small groups, looking like workers heading home after long days. The meeting point: a parking garage 3 blocks from the Brinks building. Here, final preparations occur. They change into chauffeur uniforms, conduct equipment checks, synchronize watches, and confront the psychological reality of what they're about to attempt. 7:15 p.m., 5 men begin walking toward 165 Prince Street. Pino, O'Keefe, Gus, Faraday, and Costa. The remaining 6 crew members take positions throughout the neighborhood, some watching for police, others managing escape routes, all maintaining the appearance of normal evening activities. They walk casually, conversing quietly, looking exactly like employees or visitors. Anyone observing from surrounding buildings sees nothing suspicious, just men in work clothes walking through snow. 7:20 p.m. They reach the Brinks building. Pino approaches the front entrance using keys copied months earlier. The door opens silently. No alarms sound. They're inside America's most secure building. The interior at night is eerily quiet. Emergency lighting creates long shadows. The crew moves with practiced precision. They've rehearsed this exact route dozens of times in their warehouse replica. 7:22 p.m. Second floor. Through frosted glass doors, they see the money room. 5 Brinks employees inside, counting cash and preparing deposit records. The employees have no idea their routine evening is about to become a nightmare. This is the critical moment. 2 years of planning converge on the next few seconds. Pino gives the signal. They don masks, simple handkerchiefs covering faces but allowing clear speech. 7:24 p.m. Gus approaches the money room door. Using techniques practiced and modifications made 3 days earlier, he opens all locks in under 30 seconds. The door swings open silently. The 5 Brinks employees look up to see masked men entering their supposedly impregnable workplace. But instead of panic, something remarkable happens. Training and company policy take over. O'Keefe assumes employee control, using exact words he practiced. "This is a robbery. Nobody will be hurt if you follow instructions. Lie down on the floor and don't move." Compliance is immediate and complete. Years of company training override natural fight-or-flight responses. Within 60 seconds, all employees are restrained with rope and tape, lying quietly on the floor, following company procedures designed to minimize injury and loss. 7:26 p.m. Money collection begins. The crew spreads through the room working with mechanical efficiency, but what they discover exceeds their wildest expectations. Beyond regular deposits, they find special shipments, money held for weekend bank deliveries, payroll funds for major Boston corporations, Federal Reserve notes stored temporarily. The room contains far more cash than Pino's surveillance indicated, but their discipline holds. Despite being surrounded by more money than they've ever seen, they maintain systematic approach. No one gets greedy. No one panics. They work like professionals executing a business transaction. 7:35 p.m. Bags fill with cash. Coins load into canvas sacks. Every movement purposeful, every action practiced. Suddenly, footsteps echo in the hallway outside. Someone approaches the money room. This wasn't in the plan. According to surveillance, no one should be on this floor for 8 more minutes. Pino signals silence and positions himself by the door. Footsteps pause outside, then continue down the corridor. False alarm. Probably routine guard patrol. 7:41 p.m. Money collection nears completion. Multiple bags filled with cash. Final sweeps ensuring nothing valuable is missed. O'Keefe makes quick mental calculations based on bag weight and bill denominations visible. They've collected far more than the $1 million originally planned, possibly $2 million or more. 7:43 p.m. Time to leave. Final check confirms all money collected, all equipment accounted for, employees still secure and unharmed. Before departing, O'Keefe addresses the employees. Stay exactly where you are for 10 minutes after we leave. Don't move, don't call for help, don't do anything. We'll be watching the building. 7:44 p.m. The crew exits the money room, locking the door behind them. To anyone discovering the scene later, it would initially appear nothing happened until they realized money was missing and found tied-up employees. Moving through the building with the same precision used entering, they reach ground level. Total time inside, 23 minutes, 47 seconds, slightly longer than planned, but within acceptable parameters. 7:45 p.m. Back on Prince Street, looking exactly as they did entering, except now carrying bags containing more money than most people earn in lifetimes. The getaway unfolds as carefully as everything else. No running, no suspicious behavior. They walk calmly to predetermined vehicle pickup points, separate, and disappear into the Boston night. By 8 p.m., the entire crew has vanished. Money is secured in predetermined hiding locations. Equipment has been disposed of. It's as if the robbery never occurred, except for $2.7 million no longer in the Brinks building. 8:15 p.m. The evening shift supervisor arrives for changeover. He approaches the money room, finding the door locked, normal procedure. But opening it to discover 5 employees tied on the floor, he realizes the impossible has happened. The Brinks building, the most secure facility in New England, has been robbed. 8:23 p.m. Boston police receive what becomes the most famous robbery report in city history. This is Brinks Incorporated. We've been robbed. Send everything you've got. Within minutes, Prince Street floods with police vehicles, detectives, uniformed officers, even off-duty cops responding to radio calls. But the crime scene baffles them completely. The money room appears almost normal. No forced entry signs, no lock damage, no violence evidence. Except for restrained employees and missing money, nothing suggests a crime occurred. Employee interviews reveal remarkably consistent stories. Masked professionals entered, restrained them, took money, and departed. Efficient, almost polite operation. What shocks investigators are details employees provide. The robbers knew building layout perfectly. They knew money storage locations. They knew exactly what to take and what to ignore. By midnight, the FBI assumes control. This isn't local crime anymore. It's a federal case involving interstate commerce and potentially organized crime. FBI agents developed immediate theories. Inside job. Someone with access helped plan the robbery. Professional gang. This organization level suggests experienced criminals. Organized crime involvement possible. Crime scene technicians process every inch of the money room, seeking fingerprints, fibers, any physical evidence robbers might have left. After hours of intensive examination, they find virtually nothing. No fingerprints on surfaces robbers touched. No clothing fibers not belonging to employees. No traceable footprints. A disturbing realization emerges among investigators. They're confronting something unprecedented. This wasn't lucky break-in or spontaneous crime. This was meticulously planned operation, executed by professionals, leaving virtually no trace. By morning, the story explodes across American newspapers. Brinks, robbed of $2.7 million. Crime of the century in Boston. The perfect heist. Public fascination ignites. Here's crime seeming pulled from Hollywood. Sophisticated criminals outwitting the system, stealing millions without firing shots, disappearing without trace. But for the FBI, this isn't entertainment. It's humiliation. The most secure building in New England robbed, and they have virtually no leads. Pressure to solve the case comes from government's highest levels. Within 48 hours, the FBI launches one of their largest investigations in history. Over 100 agents assigned, thousands of potential witnesses interviewed, hundreds of tips followed. They develop suspect lists. Anyone with skills and connections for this job type. Professional burglars, organized crime figures, anyone with inside Brinks knowledge. But every lead ends nowhere. Professional burglars have alibis. Organized crime figures show no sudden wealth signs. Inside knowledge theories produce no viable suspects. Weeks become months. A frustrating pattern emerges. Thousands of report pages generated, hundreds of suspects interviewed, leads followed nationally, but they're no closer to solving the case than robbery night. While the FBI searches desperately, the Brinks crew hides in plain sight, using a strategy as brilliant as the heist itself. Rule number 1. Absolutely no one discusses the robbery. Not with wives, girlfriends, other criminals. The money exists, but the crime doesn't, at least not in conversation. The $2.7 million is divided and hidden across Boston locations. Not in banks, those create paper trails. Not in safe deposit boxes, those require identification. Instead, money is hidden where only crew members know. Some money is buried in remote locations outside Boston. Some hides in abandoned buildings scouted years earlier. Some is concealed in plain sight, mixed with legitimate business cash flows from crew members owning small enterprises. But the most impressive aspect of their cover is lifestyle discipline. Despite having more money than they've ever seen, they don't dramatically change their lives. No expensive cars, no lavish spending, no sudden lifestyle improvements attracting attention. Anthony Pino continues his daily routine as if nothing happened. Same neighborhood, same bars, same associates. To anyone watching, he's still just another small-time bookmaker. Maintaining this facade creates enormous psychological pressure. Imagine accessing millions of dollars but being unable to spend freely. Crew members are rich on paper but must live like they're still struggling. They develop strict spending rules. Small improvements are acceptable, paying minor debts, buying modest items, but anything attracting attention is forbidden. No new cars, expensive jewelry, sudden vacations. Long-term strategy is simple. Wait. Wait for investigation cooling. Wait for public attention shifting to other stories. Wait for statute of limitations expiring. In 1950, federal robbery statute of limitations is 6 years. If they avoid detection until January 17, 1956, they'll be legally safe from prosecution, even if guilt evidence emerges later. But 6 years is extensive time for maintaining perfect discipline. Psychological pressure begins affecting crew members differently. Some, like Pino, seem energized by maintaining cover challenges. Others become increasingly paranoid, convinced every door knock might be FBI. Several close calls occur during the first year. FBI agents interview crew members during general criminal canvassing, but interviews are routine, and crew members' acting proves convincing. As months pass without arrests, some crew members relax slightly. They begin believing they might actually succeed. This gradual relaxation proves crucial to their eventual downfall. Hidden money becomes both blessing and curse. It's their financial freedom ticket, but also constant temptation. Some crew members begin making small, unauthorized withdrawals, convincing themselves modest spending is acceptable. These unauthorized withdrawals create first cracks in crew solidarity. If one person secretly spends money, are others doing the same? Perfect trust making the heist possible begins eroding. By the second year, paranoia affects several crew members. They begin suspecting others of cooperating with FBI, spending money irresponsibly, or planning group betrayal. In 1952, 2 years post-heist, the crew faces its first major internal crisis. Joseph O'Keefe, one of the key planners, begins expressing dissatisfaction with money management. The original agreement was simple: equal shares for all 11 crew members. But O'Keefe believes key planners like himself should receive larger portions. He starts making demands, making other crew members nervous. Pino finds himself managing not just hidden money but increasingly unstable personalities. 2 years of cover maintenance stress affects everyone differently, and some crew members crack under pressure. Several crew members begin violating spending rules. Small purchases initially, better clothes, minor home improvements. But these violations create suspicion and resentment among those maintaining strict discipline. Meanwhile, FBI refuses surrender. Agent investigations continue, though with less intensity than robbery aftermath. They're still conducting interviews, following leads, hoping for breakthroughs. In 1953, Brinks Incorporated increases the reward for information leading to arrests. The new amount, $100,000, is enough, making anyone with crime knowledge consider cooperation. As years pass, the crew faces unexpected psychological challenge, impending freedom pressure. With statute of limitations expiring in 1956, they're almost home free. But almost creates more stress than certainty. By 1954, O'Keefe's demands escalate beyond money. He wants recognition for his planning role. He wants authority over remaining money distribution. Most dangerously, he wants to start spending more freely. Other crew members begin viewing O'Keefe as liability. His increasingly erratic behavior and unreasonable demands threaten security they've all worked maintaining. Pino attempts managing O'Keefe by providing larger money shares and more crew decision authority. But instead of satisfying O'Keefe, these concessions fuel his sense of deserving even more. By late 1955, the situation becomes critical. Statute of limitations expires in months, but crew solidarity is collapsing. O'Keefe makes threats. Other crew members consider preemptive action, and the perfect crime is being destroyed by imperfect people. December 1955. Just weeks before the statute of limitations expires, O'Keefe delivers an ultimatum to the crew. Give him what he considers his fair share, or he'll take action protecting his interests. The crew faces an impossible choice: surrender to O'Keefe's demands, risking further extortion, or refuse and risk him exposing the entire operation. What happens next transforms the crime of the century into the blunder of the century, proving even the most perfect crime can be undone by human nature. January 6, 1956. 6 years have passed since the Brinks robbery. Statute of limitations expires in days. The crew is so close to legal immunity they can taste freedom. But O'Keefe, convinced fellow crew members plan cutting him out or eliminating him, decides striking first. O'Keefe contacts the FBI through his attorney. The message is simple. He has Brinks robbery information, and he's willing talking in exchange for immunity and protection. For FBI agents spending 6 years chasing dead ends, O'Keefe's approach is miraculous. Finally, They have someone willing providing inside information about the crime haunting their careers. First meetings between O'Keefe and FBI agents occur in secret Boston locations. O'Keefe provides just enough information proving involvement while holding back crucial details, maintaining his bargaining position. What O'Keefe reveals stuns even experienced FBI investigators. Planning level, inside Brinks operations knowledge, months of surveillance. It's beyond anything they imagined. Over several sessions, O'Keefe provides complete crime accounts. Names, dates, specific roles, evidence hiding places. Everything FBI needs, building cases against the entire crew. FBI agents work frantically, verifying O'Keefe's information. They check alibis, examine financial records, conduct crew member surveillance. Every detail O'Keefe provides proves accurate. January 12, 1956, 6 a.m. FBI agents simultaneously raid locations across Boston. The operation involves over 100 agents and local police. Boston history's largest arrest operation is underway. Anthony Pino is arrested at his Fleet Street home. Agents find him eating breakfast, acting like this is another routine day. His arrest reaction? Almost relief that the 6-year charade finally ended. Within 2 hours, 8 crew members are in custody. Gus, Faraday, Costa, and others are arrested without incident. Most seem resigned to fate rather than surprised. But arrests are just the beginning. Using O'Keefe's information, FBI agents begin recovering evidence hidden for 6 years. Some money is recovered from hiding places O'Keefe identified. But investigators are shocked, discovering much of the $2.7 million was spent or lost over years. Despite their discipline avoiding flashy purchases, the crew gradually spent significant portions of their shares. Small amounts spread over 6 years reduced recoverable money to original theft fraction. Legal proceedings begin immediately. With O'Keefe's testimony and FBI recovered physical evidence, the government has overwhelming cases against all crew members. Defense attorneys attempt various strategies. Some claim clients were coerced into participating. Others argue statute of limitations should protect clients since O'Keefe's confession came so close to the deadline. But the evidence is overwhelming. One by one, crew members are convicted of federal robbery charges. Sentences are severe. Most receive life imprisonment. O'Keefe, despite his cooperation, still faces charges for his original crime role. However, his sentence is reduced significantly in exchange for testimony. When legal proceedings conclude, final accounting is stark. Of the $2.7 million stolen, only $58,000 is recovered. The rest vanished into 6 years of careful spending, and hidden cash is never found. The Brinks Job officially ended August 22, 1956, when the last crew member was sentenced. But the story's impact on American crime and law enforcement was just beginning. The 6-year investigation transformed FBI methods. The Bureau developed new long-term surveillance techniques, improved financial transaction tracking methods, and created specialized units for complex robbery cases. Brinks Incorporated and the entire security industry overhauled procedures. Vulnerabilities exposed by Pino's crew led to completely redesigned security systems, new employee screening processes, and revolutionary alarm technologies. The case captured American imagination like no crime before it. Books, movies, and television shows turned the crew into folk heroes, criminals who outsmarted the system through planning and intelligence rather than violence. Professional criminals studied the Brinks Job like a textbook. The level of planning, surveillance, and preparation became the new standard for sophisticated heists across the country. Criminologists and psychologists analyzed the case extensively. How could 11 men maintain perfect operational security for 6 years, only to be undone by internal disputes? The human element became recognized as the greatest vulnerability in criminal conspiracies. Media coverage established patterns continuing today. Public fascination with sophisticated, nonviolent crimes was recognized and exploited by entertainment industries. Police departments across America studied investigation methods used in the Brinks case. The importance of patience, thorough record-keeping, and following every lead became standard training principles. The near expiration of statute of limitations sparked national debates about appropriate time limits for major crimes. Many states extended or eliminated limitations periods for serious felonies. Several aspects of the case remain mysterious decades later. How much money was never recovered? Were there additional crew members never identified? Did the crew have organized crime connections never exposed? Investigators believe significant portions of the stolen money remain hidden in locations around Boston. Some estimate that over $2 million was never found, money that could still be buried in remote locations or concealed in buildings that have since been demolished or renovated. The crew's operational security was so effective that even with O'Keefe's cooperation, authorities never learned all details of the planning phase. How many times did Pino actually infiltrate the building? Were there other Brinks employees who unknowingly provided information? Did the crew have additional sources of intelligence? Some investigators suspected the crew had connections to organized crime families in Boston, but these links were never proven. The level of sophistication and discipline suggested possible mob involvement, but evidence never emerged. The psychological dynamics within the crew remain fascinating to criminal psychologists. How did 11 men maintain absolute secrecy for 6 years? What internal pressures built up during this period? Could the betrayal have been prevented with different leadership approaches? The fates of the men who pulled off the crime of the century varied dramatically. Anthony Pino, the mastermind, served 14 years in federal prison. Released in 1971 at age 64, he returned to Boston and lived quietly until his death in 1973. He never revealed locations of money that was never recovered, taking those secrets to his grave. Joseph O'Keefe, the man who brought down the crew, received a reduced sentence but faced constant threats from other criminals who viewed him as a traitor. He served 9 years and disappeared after release. His ultimate fate remains unknown. Some believe he entered witness protection, others think he was killed by former associates. Stanley Gusiora, the master locksmith, died in prison in 1956, just months after his conviction. Some crew members suspected he was poisoned by fellow inmates angry about the betrayal, but official cause of death was listed as heart failure. James Faraday served 16 years and was released in 1972. He returned to legitimate work and lived quietly until his death in 1983. Unlike some crew members, Faraday never spoke publicly about his role in the heist. Vincent Costa served 15 years and was released in 1971. He moved to Florida and worked in construction until his death in 1985. Costa occasionally spoke to true crime writers, but never revealed details about hidden money. Most other crew members served lengthy sentences ranging from 12 to 20 years. Some were released in the 1960s and 1970s, returning to conventional lives. Others died in prison, taking their secrets with them. The Brinks building at 165 Prince Street no longer exists. It was demolished in the 1980s, replaced by modern development. But the site remains a pilgrimage destination for true crime enthusiasts and amateur treasure hunters convinced money might still be buried nearby. The Brinks Job revolutionized criminal investigation techniques and security protocols that are still used today. The FBI's approach to the case established templates for handling complex, long-term investigations. The importance of maintaining detailed records, following every lead no matter how insignificant, and never giving up on major cases became bureau doctrine. The investigation demonstrated the value of offering immunity to conspirators willing to testify. O'Keefe's cooperation showed that even the most disciplined criminal organizations have internal weaknesses that can be exploited. Surveillance techniques developed during the case influenced modern law enforcement methods. The systematic approach to monitoring suspects, tracking financial activities, and building comprehensive profiles became standard procedures. The case also highlighted the importance of psychological pressure in solving crimes. The FBI's strategy of maintaining visible presence and continuing investigation kept pressure on the crew even when leads ran cold. Security industry changes, triggered by the Brinks Job, transformed how valuables are protected. Multi-layered security systems, redundant alarm networks, and sophisticated employee screening became industry standards. The concept of inside jobs gained new attention. The case demonstrated how extensive knowledge of security procedures could be gained through patient observation and how employees could unknowingly compromise security. The Brinks Job entered American folklore as the perfect example of criminal ingenuity triumphing over institutional security, at least temporarily. Hollywood embraced the story immediately. Multiple movies, television shows, and documentaries have retold the tale, often romanticizing the crew as working-class heroes who outsmarted the system. The phrase, Brinks Job, entered common language as shorthand for any sophisticated, well-planned heist. Professional criminals studied the case like a masterclass in operational planning and execution. True crime enthusiasts continue analyzing every aspect of the case decades later. Online forums debate theories about hidden money, discuss crew member motivations, and speculate about unsolved aspects. The story appeals to American fascination with underdog narratives. Here were 11 ordinary men from working-class Boston who outwitted the FBI, the security establishment, and the entire law enforcement system for 6 years. But the story also serves as cautionary tale about human nature. No matter how perfect the plan, human weaknesses, greed, paranoia, betrayal, ultimately triumph over criminal schemes. Academic criminologists use the case to illustrate principles of criminal organization, group dynamics under pressure, and the inevitability of conspiracy breakdown over time. The Brinks Job remains the most audacious heist in American criminal history, not because of the money stolen, but because of how close it came to being the perfect crime. For 6 years, 11 men achieved something remarkable. They made $2.7 million disappear along with themselves. They evaded the largest FBI investigation in history. They maintained operational security that impressed even their pursuers. But the story's true lesson isn't about criminal technique or security vulnerabilities. It's about the fundamental nature of human beings under extreme pressure. The crew succeeded beyond their wildest dreams, but failed because they couldn't overcome basic human tendencies toward suspicion, greed, and self-destruction. The same psychological traits that enabled them to maintain discipline for years eventually tore them apart. In today's world of electronic security, digital surveillance, and DNA analysis, the Brinks Job seems almost quaint. Modern criminals face challenges Pino's crew never imagined, but the fundamental lessons remain relevant. No security system is perfect. Human nature is unpredictable, and the most sophisticated plans can be undone by simple personality conflicts. The Brinks Job teaches us that in the end, it's not technology or law enforcement that solves the most sophisticated crimes. It's human nature itself. The same force that enables great crimes also ensures their ultimate failure. Over 70 years later, the Brinks Job continues fascinating us because it represents both the pinnacle of criminal planning and the inevitable triumph of human frailty over human schemes. So the next time you see an armored car, or walk past a bank, or encounter any security system, remember the Brinks Job. Remember that no plan is perfect, no security is impenetrable, and no secret can be kept forever when human nature is involved. And remember that somewhere in Boston, there might still be money from the greatest heist in American history, waiting for someone to discover it. The Brinks Job, the perfect crime undone by perfectly imperfect people.